Joining us now from New York is Myles Caggins. He is a retired U.S. Army colonel and former spokesperson for the coalition to defeat ISIS in Iraq and Syria. He is now a senior non-resident fellow at the New Lines Institute. Myles, thank you so much for your time today. Look, obviously, given the situation in northeastern Syria, there is a risk that some of these ISIL detainees could escape. We've already seen more than 100 of them escape. I wonder, in your view, should we view this transfer from Syria to Iraq, should we view this as purely precautionary or a sign that the U.S. expects that the fighting will continue?
It's good to be with you, Scott. The situation in Syria is certainly volatile. The United States military's decision to transfer 7,000 detainees is unprecedented. Throughout the operations to defeat ISIS in Iraq and Syria, the U.S. has tried to stay out of the detention business. And while this move from Syria to Iraq is a temporary move facilitated by the U.S. military, it is a sign that there is a lack of confidence from the United States and CENTCOM for the proper handover of those detention facilities to the Syrian Arab army.
So I want to ask you about the logistics. Obviously, you're a former Army colonel. You're in a position to know better than most. How much of a logistical challenge is it to move this many people in this short window of time? Really, we have 4 days, potentially more or less, of this ceasefire period.
The strength of the U.S. military is our logistical capability and the ability to move people, weapons, equipment all around the world on short notice. But that doesn't mean this isn't without challenges. This type of operation has not been rehearsed, although there likely were plans on the shelf. So now it is important to have coordination, clear communication with the U.S. Army, the coalition, and Syrian Democratic Forces, as well as the forces of the Syrian Ministry of Interior. Today's phone call between Admiral Cooper, the commander of U.S. Central Command, and President Charo is important to lay out the expectations that this detainee transfer will happen smoothly without any intervention from rogue security forces.
And Myles, it seems like the people being moved are these accused ISIL fighters, but you also have, on the other hand, places like Al-Hol camp, Raj camp, places that are housing largely women and children. Some of those children have been born inside of these camps. They obviously had nothing to do with ISIL, but they may be, older children or even adults now, some of them. And I wonder, given that so many of these people are being held without charge, whether this maybe is a good opportunity for the U.S. to figure out who maybe should be prosecuted and who should be released. Do you think that should happen?
Well, this is a global problem that has always required a global solution. Now that Al-Hol camp that has more than 20,000 ISIS family members, now that that camp is under the control of the central government, the Syrian Ministry of Interior and Judiciary can perhaps prosecute some of the people who are there. I can tell you assuredly, the women and families in those camps continue to espouse ISIS ideology. They are a so-called caliphate in a cage, and they've had an opportunity to rest, recruit, radicalize, and if given the opportunity, they will resurge.
All right, Myles Caggins, interesting to get your perspective. Retired U.S. Army colonel and former spokesperson for the coalition to defeat ISIL in Iraq and Syria. Thank you for your time, sir.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.